We're thrown lots of advice when we're starting and building our businesses. You should niche. You should build a community. Turn your service into a productized service or package. Hire that assistant. You don't hire the assistant, you are the assistant. Launch that course on that all-in-one platform. But implementing that advice, if you're at the wrong stage of business, might actually cost you, because very little of the advice you see is applicable to every stage of business growth. So in this video, we're going to review the 5 main stages of business growth for expertise-based businesses. We'll cover what to do, what not to do, and how you know you're ready for the next stage of growth. Let's dive in. Growing a business is like growing a tree. At every stage, we are strengthening and deepening our roots to support a stronger and more sustainable business. And you can't just skip stages. No matter what the web celebs tell you, sustainable growth takes time, just like growing a tree takes time. In these stages of business growth, they're represented by trees to illustrate sustainable growth with strengthening our roots. Our first stage is the seed stage. You've found the seed and the spark of idea. You're excited. Now it's time to get excited about exploring this idea with real human beings. This means that you talk to people. You try out your work. You see what resonates when you bring this idea to real life. In this stage, you're still exploring what works, who you like to work with, the format you like to work in. You're gaining confidence. This is the stage to experiment. Revenue-wise, you're probably making your first revenue maybe less than $1,000, $2,000 a month. So 3 things to do on this stage. Try a variety of formats and services to work with as many people as possible. A lot of times you'll get the advice to niche down, to focus on a super, super narrow niche with a super, super package delivery. Doing that too early may mean you don't get enough practice in to see what you really like. Second, talk to people. Tell your personal and professional community what you're doing, who you like to work with, and let them know how they can help you. Join as many communities as you can. Again, we want to get to know more people. And third, get legit. Don't treat your business like a hobby. Set up your legal structures, set up your business bank accounts. Don't commingle things from your personal and professional. You'll thank me later. What to avoid in this stage? Any major investments. As you learn, you'll almost certainly redo web copy, branding, website, your colors, your messaging, all of it. So don't make any investments in digital branding. You're too early. 2, stop trying to perfect your niche, your pricing, your packages. The goal here is to get as many reps as possible. Float around and find out what really is going to work for you. You want to have a hypothesis about what you want to work, but you want to test, experiment. And third, don't overly focus on broadcast-based marketing like email, like social media, because you don't have any followers yet. Your first 1,000 followers and fans are probably going to come from building those relationships, not posting into the void on social media. So focus on relational marketing, getting in front of new people, meeting new people, and inviting them to follow your work. You know you're ready to grow out of the seed stage when you've tested out your product or service with at least a handful of people, collecting insights along the way, and you have a way for people to reliably pay you through a business bank account and book time on your calendar or take payment if you're selling products. So that's the seed stage. So in the sprout stage, you've been consistently planting seeds, and those seeds are sprouting into more and more clients. You have a business with growth. So this stage is all about radical focus on the foundations of your business as you expand your client and services base, build your sales confidence, and start incorporating rhythms into your business that sustainably tend to those sprouts. Revenue-wise, at this stage, you're probably making $1,000 to $5,000 a month, depending on the type of services or products you offer in those price points. So what to do in this stage? This is where you're going to start getting sustainable with marketing and sales. You're going to pick one activity, just one, maybe 2, that gets you in front of new audiences consistently. This could be guest teaching, guest posting, guest blogging, creator collaborations, guesting on podcasts, networking. Again, you want to have one way to regularly and reliably get in front of people. Pick an activity where you can regularly stay in touch and have a way to invite people you know into a sales process. Again, personal invitations are going to be the best way for businesses that are small to build the sales muscle. Secondly, you're going to want to be starting to build relationships with other providers in your ecosystem. These are the relationships that will help you get in front of new people while also feeling less alone. And third, this is the stage where you're going to start seeing patterns. You're going to want to notice them. You're going to want to notice the approach you're using, the patterns you're using. At this stage, I encourage you to begin a long form creative practice. As you start to hone those insights, hone what you're seeing, this is going to make your messaging much clearer, your approach much clearer, and help differentiate you from other people in the space. At this stage, what to avoid? You want to avoid ignoring the hard work of getting in front of new people because you're busy with client work or just relying on social media. The relationships you build at this stage with other providers, with centers of influence, with influential people in your space, these are going to pay dividends. We don't want to just check the box of I marketed by sending an email newsletter or posting on social media. We need to be investing in relationships at this stage. What to avoid next is jumping to leveraged offers too early. Group programs, communities, digital products, unless that is your business model. At this stage, your audience is probably too small to sustain that model, and it may divert attention from your core offers at this stage, especially if you're a service provider. And three, avoid systematizing too early. Marketing funnels, workflow automations. You're still figuring out who exactly you serve, how you work. You want to add in small automations like with schedulers and things like that, but like complex workflow automations until you've got your process dialed. You're going to want to avoid over systematizing because that actually just adds more fragility into your system. You're ready to grow when you are regularly generating income. You can see a clear pattern from awareness driving activities to sales. Once you see that, you're ready for what's next. You have consistency in your marketing activities at every stage. You are consistently meeting new people, staying in touch, and inviting them to work with you. And third, you've worked with a number of clients with consistent referrals or renewals. So for coaches or service providers, this means you probably work with 10 to 12 clients over at least a year or 2 years, and you're regularly getting repeat business or referrals, signaling that the work you're doing is resonating. The third stage is strengthen. In this stage, you've built the business fundamentals. So this stage is all about generating even more visibility to grow your awareness, building the systems to support your offers, your customer journey, and your delivery, and starting to codify your expertise through strengthening and streamlining your offers, messaging, and pricing, and enlisting support. At this point, you're probably not going to be able to do it all. So it's starting to invest in that right size team. In this stage, you're probably making 5 to 15K a month or 50 to 200K a year, again, depending on the price point for your offers. So what you're going to do in this stage, one, you're going to continue building or start building your public body of work, codifying your thinking into a clear methodology and process that you can use to demonstrate your expertise with your clients. Two, you're now going to update your pricing and offer structure so that you're making the target revenue and profit you need. At the seed and sprout stages, you might have been charging less than you would need to in order to get those reps in. Now is the time to say, okay, I'm ready to hone my offer suite and hone my pricing and my delivery model so that I can sustainably make the revenue I need to. And third, you're going to be strengthening that marketing and sales system, looking at the stages of marketing and addressing any process leaks. Do you have people that land on your page but never book a consultation? Do you have proposals that go out that you get ghosted on? This is the time to say, how am I strengthening my awareness engine? How am I strengthening that consideration engine and like getting people engaged with my work? How am I in the sales process eliminating process leaks so that the activities I'm doing are going to translate into clients at the end of the day? This is the time when you're going to want to start tracking your conversion metrics, your renewal metrics, and your referral partners if you haven't started that already. What to avoid at this stage? As you get busier, it is really tempting to hire help, but make sure you're not hiring without a clear plan and a clear process. Because if you don't know what they're doing, if you don't exactly know how the work they do generates income for your bottom line, we tend to give people busy work or administrative work that doesn't drive it forward, or people don't get trained. So we want to make sure that we have a real clear plan for what this person's going to do, what success looks like, so that we can make sure that the work they're doing generates real value for your business. The second is, at this point, As your revenue grows, your expenses likely grow. Want to make sure that you are setting aside cash for a rainy day. Don't just plan your expenses and plan your team size based on your best month. And third, it can be really easy to just rely on referrals and word of mouth without having a consistent way to get in front of new people. At this point in the strengthen stage, you've probably depleted your personal network of people who are ready and willing to work with you. Referrals and word of mouth are great, which we can systematize and continue to generate business through that direction. But if you're not regularly getting in front of new people, at some point you're going to hit a wall where the business doesn't come in anymore. So you're ready for growth out of the strengthen stage when you have customers and clients that didn't come from your personal network. That way, that means you know that your message is working, your messaging is able to work with someone that doesn't have previous knowledge of your expertise. Second, you have a business model, which is who you're serving, the offers you're serving them with, the pricing that meets your financial and energetic sustainability needs. So you're making enough money without working too many hours. If we haven't gotten there yet, then we are not ready for the next stage of scale. We need to make sure that we tighten up our messaging, our offers, our pricing, our customer knowledge in order to be generating the amount of money we need and the time we want to be working. 3, you know your numbers along the customer journey from first contact to invitation to offers, because we need to be able to know what kind of activity we need to do on the front end of awareness to generate the client activity that we want. And then 4 is you're starting to have the framework of how your process works, both for how you communicate with your clients and that intellectual property collateral, but also if you want to bring anyone on in your business. So next stage is the scale or sustain stage. You've got a strong business. It is growing. But at this stage, you're at a decision point. Do you continue to grow your business even larger, bring on new team members? Or is this the stage where you say, I want to be sustainable and operate at the same level of revenue that I have been at, but how do I do that with more resilience? At this stage, you're probably, again, if you're a service provider, between 100 and 250 in revenue. Maybe if you're a products business, you're slightly larger. So what to do in this stage? Decide if you want to scale or sustain. We are sold this image of the 7-figure business and all this nonsense about having a big team. That's not right for everybody. So understand whether or not you really want to add team members and which ones you want to add, or if you want to stay at the size you're at and just be resilient. You want to implement a repeatable, sustainable marketing and sales strategy designed for that business model. So if you decided that you wanted to scale by adding digital products, or scale by adding leveraged group programs, or scale by adding a team, that means doing potentially different kinds of marketing and sales for that business model. So you got to know which ones you want to do and implement something that doesn't rely so much on your effort in order to generate clients. This stage, you're going to be developing your financial scorecard to know what kind of income do you need to generate, where's your money going, what kind of marketing and sales activities and client KPIs you need to be tracking in order to sustain your team, sustain yourself. In this stage, you're going to be bringing on that right size team, the team size that allows you to be resilient, but isn't so expensive that it requires you to do a lot more marketing and sales that doesn't fit within your business model. What to avoid in this stage? Avoid thinking you need a big team, because that just might chew up your profit and doesn't necessarily lead to growth. 2, don't shift your business model to scale when you might have everything you need already. You might be making enough just with the work you're doing. Don't feel the need to add more lines of business, more different revenue structures, and a bigger team if you don't need it. And then 3rd, you got to make sure at this stage you are building assets that appreciate over time and not just relying on an email newsletter that's not saved anywhere or social media posts. You need to make sure that you are building intellectual property that can work on your behalf when you aren't constantly creating, so you can get off the content hamster wheel. And then finally, sunset stage. Sometimes you've reached the end of a particular business. You're tired, you're over it. Maybe the market has shifted, and so the opportunity that was there has dried up. This is the sunset stage, and it's okay. We don't exist in a continuous stage of growth. But in this stage, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you are saving up time, energy, and cash for the transition. We need to account for the rest and recovery that comes when we're transitioning from one thing to the next. What will we do here is 1, decide what you want to keep, what you want to sunset, and the expense level required to keep what's running. If you decide to let go of a course or let go of a community, do you have a community manager that maybe you don't need anymore on your team because you're not running that anymore? So we want to be thoughtful about the expenses we retain and what we can afford during the transition. 2, you want to be strategically building cash, storing up relationships, and thinking about building assets that will sustain you over the transition from what's here to what's next. So cash, relationships, connections that can help you get started with what's next. And then third is dedicating time and space and creativity, or just existing in the liminal space. You don't have to be always up and to the right, no matter what we're sold. What to avoid here? Comparisonitis. You're making an active choice to change. That means comparing yourself to other providers who didn't make that choice is a little challenging. Looking at other people with their big revenue years when you've had a down year can be challenging. So we want to avoid comparing ourselves to others. And we also want to avoid keeping our expenses high. It can be really hard to have conversations with team members that have been with us for a while, or to close a beloved program knowing that your customers and community rely on that program. But if you're making a change, we want to make the runway expense-wise as long as possible in order to help you continue to pay yourself, continue to be able to make decisions from a place of abundance versus a place of fear and scarcity. So in the sunset stage, we just want to account for the transition. So now that you know the 5 major stages of business, you can start to see where the strategies that make sense for businesses in the scale and sustain phase, standardized pricing, packages, having teams, having systems, are actually counterintuitive to what is going to help you be successful at the seed and sprout stages. Trying lots of things, testing things, getting reps in, getting practice, seeing what your process emerges to be rather than trying to distill it down from the start. And then you can see some of the things that work in the seed and sprout stage don't work so well as the scale and sustain, where you need process, you need systems, you need tools so that you can bring others into your business and get that reliable, repeatable revenue, because you know kind of what activities you need to do to get that revenue, what's going to make sense for your business. I encourage you to understand which stage of business you're in. If you'd like to do that, you can take the quiz linked below where you can establish your life cycle stage and your business growth, what to do, what to focus on, what not to do, and even a handy dandy checklist for those how to grow to the next steps actions. So take the quiz, let me know which stage you're at. Look forward to hearing from you.